Hey guys, this video is going to be slightly different because I'm going to use my camera and these two webcams from OBSBOT to compare them and to launch the giveaway, so stay tuned. Hey guys, right now I'm recording this using my very expensive camera. I spent over £2,500 on it and I bought myself an extra lens to make it look even better, and I've been using this camera for the last year to shoot all my videos on NotEnoughTECH. But if you follow me for some time, you also know that I covered OBSBOT Tiny 4K and OBSBOT Tiny 2, which are currently attached to my laptop, and I already set them to record me at the same time, because today I'm going to do OBSBOT Tiny 4K versus OBSBOT Tiny 2 to tell you which one is better, and you're gonna have a chance to bag one for yourself for free. So pay attention to the giveaway details, because that's what's gonna happen too. Let's start this, and I'm going to start that by enabling tracking on both of the cameras, because I want my face to be in the center no matter what. So let's do this. Simple as that. This is always so much fun. So instead of making you watch an entire video, I'm going to skip to the conclusion, because conclusion is probably what you would expect it to be, because there's no secret. OBSBOT Tiny 2 has came out as the latest product. It's more expensive and it's more capable than OBSBOT Tiny 4K. So if the money isn't an issue, go ahead and buy OBSBOT Tiny 2 because you're gonna get a better deal. However, it doesn't mean that OBSBOT Tiny 4K isn't something to consider, especially if you want to save yourself some money. So let's start with pricing. You'll have to spend £269 for OBSBOT Tiny 2, and I know this is a lot of money. I'm going to touch that in a second. But you can save yourself a little bit. The OBSBOT Tiny 4K is £40 cheaper, so it's £229. You can even score yourself a nice discount. And I know what you're thinking, am I mad? I'm asking you to spend over £200 on a webcam. But listen to me. Now, I've been using OBSBOT Tiny 4K and OBSBOT Tiny 2 for pretty much every live stream in the past 2 years. And OBSBOT Tiny 2 got to the point where it's as good as this camera, and it costs half price. So this is a Lumix, Panasonic Lumix GH80, and for streaming, microphone quality, honestly, it beats this. That's why I no longer use that for live streaming. I'm using it for different things. But when it comes to live streaming, I generally just trust OBSBOT's Tiny cameras. And considering the fact that this was the camera I actually recorded most of my YouTube video with, well, it speaks volumes to how good these webcams are if they can match the quality of that little compact DSLR or mirrorless camera, however you want to call it. Before I'm going to outline all the differences between the 4K version of Tiny and Tiny 2, let's talk about shared features, because these webcams actually have a lot in common. First of all is the resolution. Both can support up to 4K in 30 frames per second. And granted, for this video I'm using 1080p in 60 frames per second because I prefer it. It's more coherent with all the cameras that I'm using. But if you want to switch over to bigger resolution and have just better resolution to display your content with, you're free to do it, and both webcams are supporting it. Another thing that both cameras share is the fact that they can track me anywhere I go. Right now I'm just moving around the camera, the main camera, like a bit of a silly person, but the cameras, the webcams in question, both OBSBOT, have absolutely no problem tracking me, no matter how fast I'm going to move. I'm not going to run in here. I already covered the motion tracking both the cameras and in individual videos. So if you are curious how quickly you have to run to outpace them, go check them out. I'm going to link them in the corner one after another. Motion tracking and resolution aside, that's not everything when it comes to the video. Resolution aside, that's not the only benefit. As it happens, both cameras right now are mounted on my very expensive laptop. I've spent £2,500 on this laptop, and it comes with a potato webcam. It has 720p, and honestly, in this lighting, it would look absolutely horrible. But both OBSBOT cameras are excellent when it comes to video quality and low lighting performance. This is the reason I've set up the scene this much, so you could see how they stack against a camera that is essentially 10 times more expensive. And frankly speaking, when I got my first OBSBOT camera, I was very dismissive of the built-in microphone. Mostly because up until then, most of the webcams I've used, even though they had built-in microphones, these microphones were complete garbage. OBSBOT changed that, and since I've got my first OBSBOT camera, I don't no longer use a dedicated microphone in my live stream because microphone is just good enough. In both of the cameras, no matter how far I am from the camera itself or the webcam itself, I can just speak plainly and I know it's going to be captured quite well. Right now I'm like 2 meters apart from it, hiding in the shadows, and the cameras are still capturing my audio without any problems. You already figured out that these cameras are tracking me as I move around the desk for absolutely no reason, which is great if you want to show things to people on a webcam, right? But there are a couple of options that you can control this tracking with. First, you can start with gestures. Obviously, you have this gesture to stop and start tracking. But if you are in particularly official engagement and you don't want to wave your hands around, you can use also built-in software to control pretty much all the parameters of the webcams there is. The software is pretty easy to use. You don't have to use it to take control of the camera, but it gives you additional options in regards to the image control, to even beautify yourself or set custom waypoints the camera can easily switch to. If the keyboard or gesture control isn't enough, you can also pair those with a remote controller and use a professional remote controller with a laser pointer and start controlling these ones that way. And that gives you a massive degree of flexibility in how you want to control your live stream. And that's important because for the most part, all you have to do is just to focus on the thing you want to present. The cameras will do an excellent job tracking you wherever you are and making sure the cameras are always pointing in a direction you need. On top of that, that software allows you to control multiple cameras at once. So you can pick which camera you want to control, change the settings, switch over to another one, and they don't have to be of the same model. So you can have OBSBOT Tiny 4K and OBSBOT Tiny 2, as I have in here, and just one single software to control both of them and switch the feed between each other without any problems. But if your laptop is a work laptop, you don't really have to install anything. You can still take advantage of the fact that they do work like a normal USB cameras. Now, you'll be limited to certain features. The automatic tracking is going to be still there that you can trigger with gesture controls, but for best benefit, you probably want to install that software. So this is where the both cameras are similar. So what sets the OBSBOT Tiny 2 apart? What makes it more expensive? First, let's start with, well, better low light performance. You can probably tell that the video quality from the Tiny 2 is slightly better right now because there's a limited light around me. I've made that for purpose. But also there is a slightly different crop, which means you get a little bit more resolution to your face than you would have the pixels on the OBSBOT Tiny 4K. It doesn't mean that OBSBOT Tiny 4K is garbage. It means that OBSBOT Tiny 2 is so much closer to a professional camera, and I really, really like it. Another thing that is, to be fair, quite important, it's the fact that OBSBOT Tiny 2 has so much faster focus. Right now it's focusing on my face, but if I'm going to switch over to the focus for global setting, I will be able to show you how does it compare between two different cameras and how quickly it can focus on stuff that you select for the camera. So in here I've got a nice Graphstar mouse tool, which I'm going to use to right now show you the focus. I'll just disable tracking so it doesn't get crazy. And the same for the OBSBOT Tiny 4K. And that faster focus was a bit of a game changer for me. Previously in my live streams I would have multiple cameras, and if I wanted to show something, a detail, to my audience, I would use a specific camera set for that detailed work, because it was always so finicky to kind of set the focus to where I wanted, especially if I was already tracking my face. But with the OBSBOT Tiny 2, it just works so much better, and considering the fact that I can use presets to point the camera in a certain direction, it makes it so much easier to focus on the detail, show you what you need, or use one of those presets for desk to actually show your desk and compensate for different perspective, and get on with your presentation. And this is where I'm leading into the next set of features, which OBSBOT Tiny 2 comes with extra presets for tracking. There is a specific option for whiteboard, so if you want to focus on the whiteboard and presentation like that, that camera will make sure the whiteboard is presented nice. If you have something on a desk, there is a desk mode. Or if you want to be a little bit more creative, there are preset options to track your upper body, lower body, in case you are, I don't know, dance class teacher. Anyway, you've got more of them for bigger creativity. And lastly, you are no longer limited to gestures and the keyboard control for the camera. Now you can also use selected voice commands to change the way you interact with the camera. Those are baked into the hardware itself, so you don't have any special software to install. All you have to do is just to say the command, for example, to start tracking, and OBSBOT's gonna start tracking you without any hesitation. So to me, considering the price difference, the OBSBOT Tiny 2 is definitely worth extra £40. That low light performance and the faster focus alone, those two things are great and something I'm gonna take advantage in my future live streams. However, if you do want to save yourself a little bit of money and you don't really care about faster focus, you just want really good and quality camera, you can add OBSBOT Tiny 4K to your basket and have it at a cheaper price, especially that there might be a discount or two floating about, so keep on checking it. So big thanks to OBSBOT for sponsoring the giveaway. Again, details in the description of this video. And I have one more surprise hiding in a corner of this frame, which is this. It's much bigger and super excited. This is OBSBOT Tail Air. And honestly, this is gonna change how I organize my streams and how a lot of live streams will happen, because this device is pretty awesome and I'm going to cover it on NotEnoughTECH soon. Speaking of which, I do not have a posting schedule. If you want to know what next and when that's going to be reviewed, then you know how YouTube works. I don't have to explain any of this. But I have a couple of social media links listed on the screen right now. So if you want to start a conversation with me, follow me there and say hi. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I wish you good luck in the giveaway, and I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye. Obviously, we'll switch the tracking option. Yeah, remember, don't wave on live streams unless you've got more gesture tracking disabled.